Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup on Free FM 89.0. It's your host Grady Hooker, and as always, on Skype we got Josh. So we got a lot, I can't do the quick math, about 8 hours of stuff that we've got to cram into this show this week, so we're gonna, the Roundup part of Wrestling Roundup is gonna come into play here, and it's gonna be the important topics from each show that we can hit, and it's not just gonna be a raw recap, which may be a happy change here. But we'll start off WWE Battleground 2016. Bailey, as you would have joined the Team Bailey the week before.
Yeah, they emphasized the fact that it was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But I finally got my hugging princess on the main roster.
Yeah, she came out, Sasha Banks' partner, they win the match. I think if anything, the FaceTiming her on Raw is a fairly obvious sign that she is still definitely an NXT superstar. I believe she's booked at Brooklyn too, the week of SummerSlam.
Yes, face Asuka for the Women's Championship.
So who knows after that, where she might be going or anything, but at least for now.
I think she'll go to SmackDown after SummerSlam.
Okay.
Because the SmackDown Women's roster needs a little help.
Yeah. But as of right this very second, she's an NXT superstar who got a lovely exhibition on the main roster, on a pay-per-view, nonetheless. We'll stick with NXT. Enzo Amore cutting the promo of his life at Battleground.
Yeah, that was really good.
This man is just hitting it out of the park. You give him a microphone and the ball is gone. You cannot see it. It is just perfect. And I don't think we've seen somebody this damn good in a very long time.
Well, at least not as a wrestler.
True.
There's a certain manager, though.
Managers don't count at the moment.
Yeah.
Especially when they're in contract disputes. But yeah, I think Enzo has a bright future if he can continue that. And I think we've said it a few times, not necessarily as a wrestler even. But he's damn good on the mic.
Cass is no slouch either.
He does always have to follow Enzo, though, which is slightly unfortunate.
He can hold his own, though.
And then John Cena just claps and looks fancy.
Yeah, he's been playing the confused old guy that is that used to be cool, but is no longer cool.
He's playing it pretty well.
Yeah, he kind of works for him.
Yeah. In terms of the mid-card titles on Battleground as well, they both stayed with their current champions.
Yep. I wanted Darren to win the Intercontinental Championship until they made Zack Ryder the United States Challenger.
Yeah, we all knew it was going to go one of two ways. It was either going to be both titles change hands or both titles are retained. And both titles changing hands involves giving Zack Ryder a title shot, a title, which obviously you were not going to be very happy with. I think the interesting part here is that Darren Young, at the end of the match, getting a little angry and, just doing a little something there that could possibly lead into further things of him because he's being life coached by Bob Backlund. We know Bob Backlund was a fairly unstable character, whether those traits...
That's putting it mildly.
I'm trying to be nice. He was unstable. Darren Young might take some of those traits and run with them as part of his character as well.
Bob Backlund is nuts. The WWE champion is unstable.
Good point. That poop crazy, you could say. The interesting thing to me here is at the end of both of these mid-card title matches, you set up perfect feuds. You have the rematch between Young and Miz because Darren Young was, shafted out of his shot. And you set up Mojo Rawley coming out to save Zack Ryder, and then you've got your Rusev Mojo, but everybody's on different brands.
Yeah. That's why I don't expect those matches to actually happen.
Yeah.
If they do, they'll be non-title because I'm pretty sure the titles are locked in now. Right.
Yeah. I'm definitely of that opinion myself as well, but it just seemed weird that they were setting up two damn good feuds, giving them reason to feud, and they've got everything to go, and then it's just like, oh yeah, that's right, they're on different brands. It's not really useful of a feud.
As much as I like Mojo, I can't imagine him within 4 weeks winning the United States Championship.
No.
Although stranger things can and probably will happen at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I'll give you that. SummerSlam is a place where you could argue anything could happen. From the ads running during Battleground, I think I'm to believe that it's an extra hour, 4 hours?
I believe beginning 2014, they started doing it 4 hours.
Yep.
To try to make it as important as WrestleMania.
Oh, WrestleMania was like 9 hours this year. Let's not do that again. I'm not up for another 9 hours of wrestling.
The only thing I hope is, if they do the 4 hours, end it before 11 o'clock.
No, they'll never do that. They'll always overrun.
Because I missed the main event again.
Yeah. I don't know. A 4-hour pay-per-view makes sense, especially since we're running now with the individual branded, if we are. I don't know if it's confirmed yet. The individual branded pay-per-views, where those can be...
Yeah, we are, because they did, on SmackDown Live, they confirmed the first SmackDown pay-per-view is going to be Backlash.
Sweet. So, we've got these individual branded pay-per-views that can be 3 hours, or however long they want them to be. And then the ones where they come together to make a supercard of sorts, it makes sense for those to be a little longer because you do have to fit 2 fairly packed rosters and packed matches onto the card. But since that's... We also got the main event, Battleground. Dean Ambrose, somehow, someway, against most people's, I'd say 80% of people's predictions, walked out with the WWE Championship, or whatever we want to call it at this point.
Yeah, because after all, within the span of 24 hours, they called it 3 different titles.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. They'll settle on one sooner or later.
It was a good... from what I've heard, it was a good match.
Yeah. The one annoying thing is it means Dean took the red swoosh to SmackDown, so we can't just put the blue swoosh in the title mock-up. But that's nitpicky. I think most people were just fairly happy to see Dean Ambrose come out on top. Some people because they hate a certain other competitor, and some people just because it was unexpected. Not many people saw that coming. And moving on to SmackDown? No, Raw makes more sense. Raw, as they didn't have a world title, obviously, because Dean Ambrose took his to SmackDown, they announced the WWE Universal Championship.
And I have no problem with the name.
I did when it was first said, but now I'm getting used to it. It wasn't that it was a bad name, it was just a name I wasn't expecting, so it didn't really sound right. But then...
I think, personally, I think it's because they realized that when they unified the titles, they said you would never see 2 world championships again. And they realized how much of a hypocrite they would be if they brought the big gold belt back as the World Heavyweight Championship.
Fair enough.
So they decided, we're just going to create a new title, call it the Universal title.
And along with this title, you can definitely say that this was a reboot of Raw. You'd normally go for rebrand, but it's harkening back a lot of times. The new logo looks very much like an older school logo. The set, some people I think are pointing out that it's SummerSlam 2013's set, but it makes Raw look more fancy. It has a fancy set. Announce table to the side of the entranceway. Updated music for the intro. It's completely different. And
the last superstar featured in the opening should have told us something about what was happening later in the show.
It really should have.
It's the last one. For the first time, I don't know if it's ever been done, but a female is the last featured star. Sasha Banks.
It's crazy to think what we've come from and to what we are now. There's no way in HE double hockey sticks I'm against that. I 100% support it. But you wouldn't have expected it a year ago. You wouldn't have expected it 6 years ago. It's just the leaps and bounds we've come with the women's division and honestly with this whole rebrand. And it's only been 1 week, so I'm trying not to judge it too much, You can still fall back into old patterns fairly quickly, and things that they've added get boring, but at the moment, I think it's the refresher that wrestling needed. And sure, you can argue there are other wrestling promotions, but WWE is most people and young people, especially, is portal to wrestling, and that is all that wrestling is to them. So to have this refresh, I think it's what wrestling in the world needed.
At the very least, the competition between the two brands will, at least for a little while, cause them to have to step their games up.
Yeah. Hopefully continued for years and years and years to come. The stepping up. I don't mind the announce table off to the side. They did it in NXT for quite a while. The announcers, I think Raw definitely got a better group than SmackDown. I wasn't the biggest fan. Somehow I don't think SmackDown meshed very well, but that might just be first week jitters.
Possible. I just know a lot of people wanted Murrow and Graves together for some odd reason. But I think Graves played his role pretty well on Raw.
Yeah. I think that team is well-rounded. It has your sort of guy that's going to call the bits, your guy that's going to play the heel, and your third man that you can use to fill dead air that isn't going to say all too much.
And I think Byron's actually found himself a place with the post-match interviews.
Yeah.
Because those were really good that he did, which a lot of people were surprised at. Even the ones that have always said fire Byron were impressed.
I don't think Byron was ever bad. You can argue this to the moon and back, but
I think a lot of people just hold it against him when it was just him by himself. After the announce team got destroyed by Brock Lesnar at the Raw after WrestleMania last year.
Yeah, I think that was a really rocky start, and a lot of people on Raw were saying that he's really bad. He's not doing all too much. I think Raw, when you had the big personality that is Michael Cole, and you have the big ego that is JBL, it's fairly hard to get a word in edgewise. And you can argue again that it's all in their happy little world and it's all jokes and stuff, but JBL did cut off Byron a lot. JBL yells at Byron a lot. A lot of times seems pretty disingenuous, but it seems
Byron gets his chair stolen a lot, especially by Wyatt.
Yeah, it just seems a little. Everyone was being hard.
Punching bag. It's definitely a punching bag of the combination.
And you don't necessarily need a punching bag. I think he's doing fairly well. Should we talk? No, we'll go to song. It'll give you a tease about our next topic. So it's our mid-show song. Normally this is where we'd jump over to SmackDown afterwards, but we had a pay-per-view, so not everything's fitting nicely on either half of the song. So it is Sasha Banks, and it's Sky's the Limit. And you're back, Wrestling Roundup, Free from 89.0, Grady and Josh. So I said the song would hint at it. We have a new WWE Women's Championship. Well, champion, sorry.
Completely unexpected.
To me, it was unexpected that the match happened, and then the outcome was just crazy.
Yeah. I'm not that surprised that the match actually happened. I'm surprised there was a clean finish.
Ah, yeah, fair enough.
I'm surprised the title changed hands. I expected either Charlotte would win by some sort of dirty means, usually involving Dana.
Yep.
Some way, shape, or form. Or something would happen to cause it to be a no contest. I did not expect a definite finish, because I expected this moment to be at SummerSlam.
Yeah. A lot of what I saw was that. It was sort of divided between she deserves it, which you can agree with both of these, and it should have waited till SummerSlam. So, I don't know. Personally, I don't mind. It seems as though they were trying to make this first Raw, after the roster and the brand split, to be a memorable one, and to be one for the history books, and I think this just added that nice little full stop at the end of the sentence.
It was definitely a really good Raw. It would still have been a really good Raw, even if Charlotte had retained the title.
True.
And the other thing that we're about to talk about hadn't happened.
Braun Strowman?
But I know a lot of the internet said it was the best Raw ever, would have said it was one of the worst Raws ever if that actually happened.
So we're talking about Braun Strowman, right? And his new long braided hair at the back and reverse choke slam and beating up on jobbers? That was on my list.
Okay. After that.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed that they brought back the squash matches.
Yep.
And the interview before the match, and some of the quirks that Byron had, quips that he had, were hilarious. And Strowman won a lot of people over with that match.
Definitely.
Which is essentially what a squash match is supposed to do.
I think the best part about the squash match was that his opponent had a reason he was there. It wasn't just sort of, local competitor, he's going to get beat up. He had a little bit of a reason. He had storyline there, even if he did lack a chin. But Braun definitely showed himself off. It wasn't, athletic back and forth match, but he's a lot more agile than I had ever expected.
That was part of what got him signed in the first place. Was a mixture of his strength, speed, and size.
Well, we're going to run out of time if we don't move on to the main event of Raw, where Finn Balor completely beats Roman Reigns cleanly.
Apparently they made this particular decision, after the show was already on the air.
I'll believe it.
Because apparently up until about 8:30, the plan was for Roman to go over.
Okay.
And then suddenly Vince McMahon decided to change his mind, and Finn Balor went over.
I'm not a Roman Reigns hater, so I'm happy either way.
With it being a brand new title with no lineage, Finn Balor could win the championship, and it would be completely logical.
Had
it been the World Heavyweight Championship, big gold belt, I probably would not give Finn a chance at all. But with it being a brand new title, there is a realistic chance that Finn Balor could be one of the top champions coming out of SummerSlam.
Yeah, I've seen some things where Finn's meant to go to like an athletic back and forth with a slight loss and then lead the Cruiserweight division. That's coming up on Raw since he's still underweight for that. But we don't know what they're going to do too much for the Cruiserweight division. That promo was mostly just Cruiserweight Classic shots, nothing too fancy. But yeah, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins should be an amazing main event for a title that we've not seen yet. So
Finn Balor will have nothing to do with the Cruiserweight.
Is that a prediction or a knowing?
No, it's a fact.
Okay.
He was always expected to have a main event push the moment he hit the main event, the roster.
Okay.
There was definitely plans put in place a while back when Roman was still in good graces, the feud with Roman.
Okay, well, I hate to shaft SmackDown even though they've only got like 4 minutes left in the show. But we got a couple of returns. We got Rhino coming back to gore Heath Slater, and probably a lovely moment for Heath Slater.
And the promo he did was really good. I think forgetting about Heath is the best thing WWE could have ever done.
Yep.
Which is sad to say.
Yeah. Heath has done really damn well with this storyline where he has not been drafted. I
expect the same thing to happen on Raw.
Yeah.
On Monday.
He's entertaining, he's fun, and he might be seeing his friend a little soon, or his ex-friend. Shelton Benjamin is going to return. We've got a coming soon promo for him. I know my family personally were fairly shocked at this because they're not, internet people. So hearing Shelton Benjamin coming back, I was like, whoa, that's a guy I remember. He was good then. He's probably good now. We'll ignore his age.
I was never big on Sheldon, but you need bodies in SmackDown.
Fair enough. And then rumor mill side, we're hearing Kurt Hawkins, Jinder Mahal, MVP Melina, MVP failing the physical. We're hearing plenty of names coming out as potential returners.
As I just said, you need warm bodies for the rosters.
We'll tick that box. And then,
I think with SmackDown, the biggest name was the so-called show that's going to be the wrestling show had 4 matches on it. But I was really impressed by the women's segment after the match.
Yep.
I think the reason the United States is hot is because of the heat that Eva Marie has. and WWE just doubled down on it.
I wish we could end on that line. Oh.
But Dolph Ziggler is the number one contender for the WWE Championship. Who saw that coming?
Nobody. Nobody in their right mind going into that match said Dolph Ziggler was going to win. There's some people in the nut house who would have said it. Yeah, I honestly could have seen a lot of names in that list other than Dolph Ziggler winning. Could have argued with you that Heath Slater had more chance of winning that six-pack challenge than Dolph Ziggler did.
Yeah, you want the Magnificent Seven pack challenge.
And I'm not saying that Dolph Ziggler-Dean Ambrose is going to be a bad match. I'm just saying that nobody in their right mind thought Dolph Ziggler was going to be in the main event.
But they wanted to prove that this is a show of opportunity.
So you give it to Baron Corbin, right? Actually, no, I guess that's one positive. Dolph Ziggler is too busy in the main event to be feuding with Baron Corbin.
Yeah. I still think Baron Corbin is going to probably be feuding with Briscoe.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just think that's probably going to happen.
I've got either that or Apollo Crews in my head.
That would be fair, too. And I think Apollo Crews would probably give him a better match, to be honest.
It'd be an interesting dynamic between the two. So, we've got about 30 seconds left. What is the thing next week you're looking most forward to?
I would say just continuing the storylines, seeing where they go from here.
Yep. I think now that we've seen the big rebrands, we've seen most of the big surprises or shocks, it's definitely just the things that they've laid out, just coming to fruition and, completion. Okay, so it's been great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio. I'll see you next week.